Hey everybody, welcome back to the chaotic little book corner. I'm excited. I know you're excited because it's a top 5 day. So you're obviously excited because today is top 5 magical realism short story collections, or fabulist. Fabulist? Fabulist fiction? I always say fabulous fiction instead of fabulist. And then I'm like, well, it is fabulous fiction as well, so interchangeable in my mind. Just totally interchangeable. I hit my finger. Man. That was uncomfortable. So, after this one, comment down below. Let me know what the next video you guys want to see is, and we'll go from there. For top 5, I mean. Because there's so many videos I could do. But top 5 requests below. Or Twitter me. That's not right. That's not the right verbiage. It's tweet me. You tweet me. If you don't have my Twitter account, I'll link it down below. But you tweet me on Twitter. You don't Twitter me on Twitter. Right? Oh. Slang is hard. Alright, guys. Let's start here. The Wilds by Julia Elliott. This was so good. I love Julia Elliott. I want everything she's ever written. I think she's amazing. I enjoyed every story in this. I thought it was beautiful. I did not break the spine, which was really difficult. Like, really difficult, because I just wanted it to stay pretty. Really stay pretty. It's amazing. Guys. I thought that this book was so fantastic, and I think the thing about Julia that I really enjoy is that her writing is so eloquently done and so intelligent that there's really no way to explain it other than intelligent, because you just feel smarter by the end of her books, because she makes these stories so much like you've now learned something that others may not know. It's almost like she's telling you her secrets in a story. It's really beautiful, and I think it was really a fun read. It was something different. It was gothic. It was southern. It felt great to read this in the summer. I haven't spoken about it yet because it's a recent read. So there's that. I also didn't keep track of it on my Goodreads. I just realized that. I have trouble with short story collections on Goodreads. Like, I'm terrible at keeping track of those. But this one is blurbed by Karen Russell. It's blurbed by Kate Bernheimer. Like, this is good stuff, guys. Good stuff. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Personally, I thought it was as good as her story, Romy and Fitch, Romy and something. You know the one I'm talking about. Mercedes and I have really enjoyed it. I personally really liked the story Organisms and the first story Rapture. Those were my 2 favorites. But cover love all the way. Beautiful. Tin House, as always, has outdone themselves. House of Anansi. They sent me this. This is Double Dutch. I've spoken about it before. I really loved it. I thought it was fantastic. My favorite story was from the perspective of Topsy, because yes. And that was electrocuting the elephant. And then the other one I actually really enjoyed was, again, the first story, which was Night Terror. I thought that was really interesting. It was a story about a woman who believes that her child's a terrorist. So I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really different. And some of the perspectives in this, though, I found very jarring and interesting, and something that I really wasn't expecting. I really liked Topsy's perspective, but it's because I kind of have a background in knowledge about the Edison-Topsy conversation and, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Speculation. But, yeah. The one that's written from the standpoint of a gun. A little weird. A little strange to me. By Light We Knew Her Name, you guys have heard Mercedes rave about this. You haven't heard me rave about it as much, just because I really do love it. I think Anne Valenti is amazing as a writer. I would say this is definitely in my top 5 of magical realism short story collections. because of the writing. I can't say that I loved it for the same reasons Mercedes did, and I can't say, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I can't wait to read her novel. I feel like I enjoy her writing style. I'll enjoy her writing style more when it's in a longer feeling than just like snippets, if that makes sense. Because I wanted more from every story. I felt like there was more to the story that I didn't have at the end. Some of them were great, and some of them wrapped up perfectly, but some of them I just didn't quite grasp. This one is Helen Oyami, who you know I love. This is What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours, and it's so beautiful. And oh my gosh, look at gold. I think when I finished this, I was like, favorite book, short story collection of all time, hands down. And then I thought about it, and I was like, no, one of them beats it. And I will show you that one in a second. But I think the thing about Helen Oyami that is so brilliant and wonderful and so breathtakingly amazing is that she takes stories and folklore and ideas and magic and kind of everything that we grew up really loving and takes it and puts it into a story and then spins it around on its head and says, surprise, new way of thinking about it, gotcha. And you're like, what? How did I miss that the first time? So yes, I think that's the joy of Helen Oyami. I think that this book takes everything that I love about fairy tales and kind of, I think the thing that really amazed me was that it weaved the stories. Like, it felt weaved, there was little connections, and I really love Helen's characters. And I think her characters speak to me so much from a mental perspective, because I just feel like never ever have any of the characters I've read from her been completely 100% sane, and I love those characters because I relate so much to them. So there's that. Now the one that I definitely think is my top 110% so far ever short story collection, now that I've thought about it, it was definitely Abby Jean I, The Last Animal. I've read this a few times. I could reread this 100 times and I would never get bored of it. I've read it out loud to my mother, and I think that makes me like it a little bit more than I did. Like, I think that me reading out loud to my mother has always really helped, and this book was one of those ones that we now have shared an experience with. But I think this book takes life and insanity and love and hope and emotions and everything else and spins it on its head and then takes it and puts it in an animal, and once it's in an animal, it's able to be accessible to like everybody, and you can't really turn away from it and be like, oh, that doesn't really make sense to me, because it just makes sense to you when you can look at it without looking in a mirror. It's almost like she's taking your human emotions that you're afraid to conquer and look at and saying, here, look at them this way. And then you look at them and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then she's like, haha, got you. You're a human. And you're like, what? Did that make sense? I don't think that made sense, but I'm going to go with it did make sense. I mean, the cover, short story covers are just like, if I based everything on cover buys, I'd only buy short stories, I'm pretty sure. But, yeah, I think that book it's something different. I think the thing I love about all of those books, all 5 of them, take emotions and weave them into this new way of kind of looking at them. And they take the human body and the human mind and spirit, and they turn them into something that we can all relate to and all understand from a more philosophical perspective. But we really can't do that you can't do that in a novel, because in a novel it would become too heavy and too preachy. But in a short story, it's easy to kind of digest the idea of human feelings and emotions, and it's easier to digest that we are all human and that we all have these things about us that we don't always like or don't always want to be true. The book that I really want to get my hands on is something soil, I want to say Forms with Soil. It's a Australian short story collection, and I'm dying to get my hands on it, but it's like $25, and I can't justify $25 for a short story collection, but I can't find it used anywhere. So if anyone finds it used on like Abe Books or something, guys, email me, because I want that short story collection so bad. And it's mostly because of a story that Mercedes explained, which had to do with bullying, because, you know, that's gets me right here every time. But that's been my short story collection. Magical realism at its best, in my mind, in short stories. I will speak to you guys soon. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see next for the top 5. Love you.